Hey everybody, Nubkeks here. There's just been a balance patch for Heroes of the Storm, so we're going to read through and I'll give you my thoughts, opinion, and analysis of the changes that they put in. There's some kind of interesting ones. I took a brief skim through, but yeah, let's dive right in. Okay, so first of all, we have some general changes. Scarlet Heist, the daily quests. Mobsters are back. After completing the quest line, a set of 3 new daily special event quests will be available, so that's quite nice. Using a special event dialogue, you can choose one of those 3 quests, complete it for a Scarlet Heist chest reward once a day until the event ends on December 3rd. So if you're playing lots of HotS, you get some rewards for free just for playing. That's always good. New feature. This one is pretty interesting, and I'm excited to kind of dive into the game and actually see this in action. Hero Mastery Rings. A lot of you may remember the old Mastery skins. The idea here was back when the game first came out, to get a mastery skin, I think you had to get a hero to a certain level, and then you could purchase their mastery skin for gold. And it was quite expensive, I think. So, having a master skin on the hero was actually like a real badge of honor. And you'll notice a lot of the master skins for the original heroes are basically fancier versions of their base skin. And obviously they removed all of that with Heroes 2.0 a couple of years ago, I guess now. But yeah, they're excited to bring back another way for players to show off their mastery of individual heroes. With today's patch, players will be able to spend 5,000 gold to purchase augmented hero rings for any hero over the levels of 15 and 25. So 2 different levels of the mastery rings, I guess. These mastery rings are permanent when purchased, will be placed over the top of the normal hero ring, becoming visible to all players while in a match. We're extremely excited to know what you think about these and appreciate hearing the feedback. I'm not exactly sure what a hero ring is. I guess it's the circle underneath your character. So I'm interested to see what these look like. I think it's an interesting idea. Until I actually see it in game, I'm not sure. But there you go. That's something to check out. I'll have a gameplay video probably up tomorrow. Which will show some of the changes, and we'll probably dive in with a gameplay video, probably of Whitemane, because she kind of got another sort of pseudo rework. But anyway, let's look at the tank changes here. First up, Diablo. His base health has gone up a good chunk, actually about 10%-ish. But the health bonus per soul has been reduced to compensate. They also lowered the mana of Apocalypse by half, in fact. And the idea here is that Diablo, he's very popular, but he's a very low win rate. Because people like to pick things that lose. But yeah, Apocalypse also is chosen more often, has a lower win rate, so they want to make it a bit better. The interesting thing here is that he's going to be better when he's behind, so he's going to have more health compared to where it used to be before this patch. With the base health, is going to be stronger than the scaling health, up to 75 souls. After 75 souls, he's actually going to end up being a little bit weaker than he was before, which just means that if you're losing the game, he's just a little bit more tankier by default, which I think is probably all right. Artanis with bruisers. Purifier Beam, the move speed has been increased. So, yeah, I presume this is because they increased the movement speed of everyone in a patch by like 10%. Like all the movement speed across the board was increased by 10%. So it's good that they've increased the laser speed as well to compensate. So it's basically as fast relative to heroes pretty much as it used to be when the game first came out. But it's now a little bit, yeah, they're basically just fixing it because it was the same speed, whereas all the heroes are moving slightly faster. All right, cool. Rexar. Mend Pet mana cost increased from 55 to 60, so it's actually fairly substantial. You certainly notice it when you're playing Rexar. Talents. Level 1, Easy Prey. The passive bonus damage against mercenaries and minions has been reduced from 200% to 150%. So that's the damage of Misha, I think, when she's basic attacking. And Flare. The cast range has been increased substantially from 15 to 25. That's huge. That could be a very powerful scouting tool. Obviously, you're giving up the Wave Clear Q talent, or you're giving up the Wave Clear and Mercamp taking Misha talent. It's a pretty big sacrifice for Flare. Maybe in like more organized competitive type games, you might want that, play around the vision a bit. But you're giving up, I think, a lot of power for it. But it's certainly interesting, and buffing it makes it more interesting, I guess. And level 4, Hunter-Gatherer. Bonus healing regeneration reduced from 1.25 to 1 per second per regen globe. And the maximum stacks have increased, though, from 20 to 25. So it's going to take you a lot longer to finish the quest if the quest is... it's a bigger quest, and you're getting less progress. So, yeah, that's an interesting change. All right, cool. We don't think we need to nerf him too much in spite of his 57% plus win rate. No comment. Cap. Varian. All right, level 1, Overpower. Bonus damage increased from 30% to 40%. That's quite cool because it hasn't really been taken much. So this is where you block something with your parry and increases the damage of your next heroic strike. That's cool. Level 4, Taunt. Health and health regen bonuses increased from 30% to 40%. Pretty substantial. Twin Blades has been nerfed. The basic attack reduction has been increased from 20% to 25%. So when you have Twin Blades of Fury, your basic attacks will now do 25% less damage. But offset by the fact you've got the faster attack speed and quicker cooldown on your the trait activation, the heroic strike. Level 7, Lionheart, the healing bonus has been increased from 50% to 75%. I'm not sure exactly what that is. I think it's just flat healing, or like just a healing benefit when you hit heroes with your Q, I think. I'm not 100% sure. I think that's what it is. Banner of Stormwind, the cooldown has been reduced from 45 to 25 seconds. The Banner of Dalaran cooldown has been reduced from 45 to 25. It seems like the Banner of Ironforge still has the same cooldown. I'm actually not a huge fan of this. I kind of like the idea that the banners have the same cooldown and they just have different effects. And I didn't really think it mattered if Ironforge was better in most circumstances, because I still felt like there were circumstances where Stormwind was amazing. There were where Dalaran is amazing. I guess they felt most people just picked Ironforge. So I guess that's kind of interesting. And comboing with that, Glory to the Alliance. Banner cooldown reduction changed from 20 seconds to 50%. So it's going to be bigger cooldown reduction on Ironforge, which is probably still sitting at 45-second cooldown. So half cooldown off that. Half cooldown off of the Banner of Stormwind. It's going down to like 12.5. You're going to be throwing that thing out like all the time. That's kind of insane. What's the uptime on that? That must be close to almost 100% uptime. It's kind of nuts. Well, there you are. All right, healer, Anna, Shrike. Healing from Shrike, damage from 50% to 60%, so a bit more self-healing. Okay. Vampiric Rounds, trait, bonus Shrike heal from stacking 5 doses from 1.5 to 0.75%. Added a second reward. Increase Shrike's heal by 0.25% for every basic attack against heroes that have 5 doses. Okay, so continually attacking the same target is going to keep stacking up and up and up and up. That's pretty interesting. It makes it definitely a bit more usable. Instead of like stacking 5 doses on someone and then stacking 5 doses on somebody else and kind of spreading the poison around, which makes sense with Lunara, and certainly has been a gameplay feature of Anna, but probably didn't make that much sense. It probably makes more sense, you can keep attacking, at least you're going to heal yourself more. That's cool. Slumber Shells, additional functionality, reduce the cooldown of Sleep Dart by 4 seconds. That's pretty damn good. So again, more competition for the W build. And Night Terrors, no longer reduces Sleep Dart cooldown. Modified functionality, gain 25% move speed for 2 seconds for every hero hit by Sleeping Dart. When a hero wakes, they take 10% of their max health and damage. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely, they're pushing Anna towards some different builds for sure, which I think is fine. She's one of the most heroes most affected by movement speed change. Okay, cool. Yeah, all right, cool. I think the main, I like to remove the awkwardness of Vampiric Rounds, asking to constantly swap. Yeah, I think that makes sense for sure. Okay, Deckard. Healing Potion now displays its impending AoE to allies while the missile's in flight. Okay, this is going to make it way easier for people to pick up Healing Potions. That's actually a huge buff to Deckard. I think that's hilarious. In Fortitude of the Faithful, the radius has increased. Of course, when you're in the radius, it's if allies are close to you, now within 6.5 meters, feet, units of distance, I don't know, of Deckard, you get cooldown reduction. So that makes, I think both of these things are actually pretty huge. Much easier to maintain cooldown reduction with teammates without really too much effort on their part, and then it's just easy to pick up the Healing Potion in flight. It's just a bit of noob friendliness, and I think that's okay. Talents, Gems, Active and W, added functionality, increases the damage of unleashing the Heradric Cube by 100%. Interesting. So adding a damage component to each of the gems, all of the gem talents, to kind of churn out a bit more. That's pretty cool. Additionally, Ruby, cooldown reduced from 30 to 20 seconds. Trigger radius of lesser healing potions increased from 0.5 to 1, matching base potions. That's a very big deal. This becomes now, I think, a very strong talent. That's a significant cooldown reduction just straight up, and essentially doubling the size for picking these up makes it way easier to pick them up. That becomes a pretty powerful heal to drop on your team. Pretty interesting. Perfect Gems now reduces the cooldown of all gem talents to 5 seconds instead of a flat 25-second cooldown reduction. So you can essentially you can probably pick the same gem each time if you want to. That's a pretty big deal. That's very cool. So I think like a gem build for Deckard now becomes much, much more attractive. And I think I like that because his talents were a little bit stale, I think. And the gems are one of the coolest set of talents. They require some of the most thought and some of the most interesting interactions. So big thumbs up for me. Okay, Lily. Hindering Winds moved to level 13. Slow duration increased. Okay. Searching Winds have been moved to level 4. Cooldown reduction reduced from 3 to 2. So Hindering Winds, that's where your are they your W? No, I'm pretty sure that's your E ability. I'm pretty sure that's a typo right there. It's her Blinding Wind, her E, which by default targets two close things, prioritizing heroes, and does damage. Makes them slow. And that's now at level 13 talent. Searching Winds? I thought Searching Winds... I'm not sure. I guess it gives cooldown reduction on the E if you hit 2 heroes. Something like that. I'm not 100% sure, to be honest. Sorry, guys. Actually, can I... Yeah, okay, let's jump into the game and double check that. I probably should have jumped into the game for some background music anyway. Lieutenant Morales. Vanadium plating. New functionality. Increases the duration of safeguard by... Game is running. Is it? Not yet. By 1 second. While the target is stunned or rooted, safeguard's armor value is increased to 50. So that's very strong. That's really nice. It used to pause the duration while they were stunned, so maybe it's a bit of a nerf, actually. It's certainly easier to play with, perhaps. Prolonged safeguard has been removed. A new talent, Medi Drone. Okay, let me do this. And okay, give us a sec. Okay, go in here. So we want to check out Lily. Lily. Okay. Apparently the patch hasn't hit EU. Hindering Winds is still there. Surging Winds is spell power. Oh wow. Well, that's probably the go-to talent. I mean, just bam, hit 2 heroes with Surging Wind, with Blinding Wind. It reduces the cooldown and it gives you spell power. Honestly, I'd say that's probably almost better than Hindering Winds. Oh, okay. Interesting swap there. Lieutenant Morales, I'm curious what this one was as well, just to double check. So current vanadium plating. Yeah, while an ally's affected, the duration of safeguard is paused. Now, to be fair, most stuns are quite short. So the 1 second duration, most stuns are actually a bit shorter than that. You have some that are long. I mean, like Mosh Pit would be the biggest example of a really long stun. Generally speaking, I think this will, largely speaking, be a buff. So there you go. Prolonged safeguard is gone. Prolonged safeguard was this, increasing the duration. It's just gone. Baked into that. New talent, Medi Drone. Allies with safeguard receive 50% of the healing done by healing beam on other targets. I don't actually think that's necessarily that important. I think it's cool. I don't think it's that important. I would be thinking this vanadium plating is probably the way to go. Yeah, I think that's by far the strongest talent at this tier. Typically, you're putting safeguard on someone that they are the focused target, so you're gonna want to be healing them anyway. They have to be in range of your healing beam to cast your W, I'm pretty sure, to cast your safeguard. Safeguard removes slows. That's pretty bad. I think this one's got to be the way to do it. Just an extra duration on it, and then if they get stunned or if they get rooted, which again is pretty much the time that you're going to want to put that ability out anyway, it just increases the armor value. Yeah, that seems a bit of a gimme, to be honest. All right. Malfurion, Entangling Roots, cooldown reduction. Oh, cooldown and mana cost down, and Innervate thing down as well. That's interesting. They're actually buffing Malfurion. I didn't realize that he was considered that weak. That's a substantial buff. The mana cost and that, yeah, that's a pretty big deal. White Mane now has got a lot of changes. Her basic attack damage is up from 55 to 62. Clemency, mana cost removed. Thank you, Blizzard. Additional functionality removes 1 stack of Desperation. Inquisition now removes 1 stack of Desperation. Now, that's a massive deal. It actually gives them a purpose of those abilities now. The problem with the rework was that, well, Clemency and Inquisition just felt like, why does she even have these buttons? You're better off taking basic attack talents and basic attacking and never even pressing them. Especially because this had a massive mana cost. So you just yourself for almost no healing. This now becomes, Clemency becomes super useful now. And Inquisition as well. I think this is a really good choice that puts some actual interesting gameplay from where she was pre-rework, one of the best and most interesting aspects of her, and brings it back. Talking about that as well, Ziyal now has additional functionality. Activate to increase your spell power by 25% and reduce your armor by 25 for 5 seconds with a minute cooldown. Thank you, Blizzard. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. Yeah. Love it. All right, so they brought back the two most interesting pieces of her kit, which I think they removed. So actually using your fucking laser, which makes her cackle like a maniac, which is amazing. Making that actually usable again. Giving you gameplay with reducing stacks of desperation and playing around that. And then giving you back Ziyal. Basically giving you back this active. You know, gaining spell power, reducing armor. It just fits the hero fantasy so well. I'm so glad to see that come back, and it's obviously very powerful. Scarlet Aegis also has a substantial buff. They're knocking the cooldown back down to 70 seconds. So again, I feel like this is pretty much the go-to cooldown most of the time. Saintly Greatstaff, new functionality. So they've completely reworked this. Again, this is clearly, I think, the old build that's on EU still. So Saintly Greatstaff was this one, increasing the basic attack healing by 100%. Which was part of what totally broke the character. New functionality. Hitting an enemy with Searing Lash marks them for 3 seconds. Basic attacks against a marked target deal an additional 75 damage and consume the mark. Now, bearing in mind, it is essentially more than doubling your basic attack damage against that particular person, but only for one attack. So I actually think this talent isn't really that good, especially seeing as cooldown reduction is over there. Honestly, she kind of has nothing very good at this particular talent tier. I mean, you might end up taking Saintly Greatstaff anyway. I gotta say, her level 13 talents are pretty shit. But there you go. I guess it's good to include Searing Lash in it, though. I don't actually really like Searing Lash as an ability, but whatever. A new talent at level 20, though. Guiding Light. Activate to grant a target ally a permanent seal. Only one. Oh, I see. Wait, what? So Fanatical Power, give someone a permanent... Oh, I think they just renamed it. I'm a bit confused. Obviously giving... So, like, this one does apply Ziyal. Desperate Prayer applies Ziyal. Well, it applies Ziyal. So I presume it's just renamed? I'm not sure. I presume it's just, yeah, it's just been renamed, I think. It's a bit confusing. I'll check it out when I check out that. So we're definitely going to do a video on White Mane because that's a big change. Kirra. Finishing Touch, modified functionality. Gain 50% basic attack damage. When you basic attack a hero below 50% health, gain an additional 15% attack damage and 35% attack speed for 3 seconds. Now, what she was at before with that one was... Basic attacks on enemy heroes give additional 30% damage. So it's just straight up attack damage even when they're higher health. And then you get more when they're lower health. Obviously, they want to equalize the talent tier. I personally preferred this old version, where it was all about the bounty hunter type thing. And I feel like you somewhat devalue some of the basic attack talents, like the hunted. Now starts to feel pretty bad if you don't have that 15% basic attack damage, right? Because you're like, man, that would actually be a substantial chunk in synergy. I prefer when the talents aren't necessarily that linked together, but what have you. That's what they decided to do. It's not a big deal, but there you go. Junkrat got a health chunk. And more health regen. I think that's nice. More cooldown reduction on Boom Pow, so using your mine offensively. Big Az got buffed because obviously everyone's picking the silencing traps because, you know, they're a bit better. And then Rocket Ride got its damage increased because, again, it's a bit weaker than the other one. So, yeah, I think those good changes overall. Actually, I think they're good changes to Junkrat. I feel like it did need a few minor little buffs. And, yeah, these things, I think they're good changes. I think they're really nice. Small tweaks that make sense. Li Ming, health been slightly increased and health regen. Astral Presence has been removed. And Force Armor got more functionality. Mana regen is increased by 100% while below 30%. So they basically just stuck Astral Presence into Force Armor. That makes that talent really good. Yeah. It makes Force Armor really, really good. Against like someone that has a bursty type cast. So, I mean, like a Kael'thas, for example. If you're going up against a Kael'thas, Force Armor is pretty appealing. If you flat reduce, a Flame Strike, or if he goes Pyroblast, you could completely protect yourself from Pyroblast with the 50 spell armor. Like any mage with a big hard-hitting bursty spell, or any character with a big hard-hitting bursty spell, Force Armor is really good against that. And yeah, giving it mana regen as well. That makes it, I think, a very good talent in a lot of situations. Max range arcane orbs refund mana. How much mana does it cost? It costs 40, so it just refunds the entire mana pool. Okay, so they're buffing the orb builds and buffing this talent. Okay, I think they're pretty interesting changes. And some buffs to Li Ming. Li Ming continues to be slightly lower performing than we would like. Honestly, I'm not sure how much they would like her to be performing. I think Li Ming is a very high skill cap character. You would expect her to have a low win rate. Like, if Li Ming has a high win rate, there's something wrong with the game. And anyone who's ever played against it, like a good Li Ming player, like, you know, a professional Li Ming player or something, can tell you that, you know, the difference that someone can make on that character is ridiculous. I guess that's not really a relevant concern anymore. Anyway, we got some bug fixes, which are nice and all that. So there you go. Winners and losers for this patch. How's it looking? Okay, so Diablo, bit of a winner, actually. Buffs to Diablo. So Diablo's in a nice spot and will continue being one of the most popular tanks in the game, though perhaps still having a bad win rate. We will see. Artanis, a minor winner, I suppose. Rexxar, a loser. Definitely getting some nerfs to a lot of his stuff. The extra mana cost there, Misha doing less. So Rexxar is going to be a bit weaker, which is smart because, yeah. Varian, probably a winner overall. He's got some nice buffs to some of his stuff. Twin Blades is obviously a little less happy than before, but it's not a massive deal. But his other builds are going to be very happy, particularly Tank Varian is something of a winner here. I think Anna is also a winner too, I think, for sure. And just a bit more self-survivability, which is kind of nice. Deckard is a big winner, probably tied for biggest winner of the patch in my mind, along with probably Whitemane. But yeah, I think this is really nice. Some great, really good quality of life changes, really significant quality of life changes with the healing potions and his trait, and great changes to the gem build, making gem build super interesting. Lily, actually a bit of a winner, probably getting a more powerful talent at level 4 because apparently that level 4 talent was too strong. Who fucking knows? Lieutenant Morala is a minor winner as well, I think, with getting probably a slightly better talent at 7, and then another talent which is cool but probably not as good as the one that they buffed for some reason. Malfurion is a winner. Whitemane is a big winner, I think, up there, probably the biggest winner of this particular patch, getting really significant and great gameplay changes that make her just much more fun, much more interesting to play with. And yeah, though, you know, losing that talent perhaps sucks. You know, there's a big buff to heroic. Kirra, small winner. Small winner for Junkrat too. Small winner for Li Ming. Lots of winners. Everyone's a winner, actually. No losers really this patch, except for Rexxar, which, you know, again, is pretty fair. There you go, guys. That's a patch. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you all next time for more. Bye-bye.